Yeah, good morning students. We are learning Java programming. Today is our day 5. Now in today we will learn following important characteristics of object-oriented programming like class, object, method, message passing, encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and dynamic binding. So these are the very important and popular characteristics of object-oriented programming. So one by one we will understand. So very first we will understand what is an object-oriented programming. So OOP stands for object-oriented programming. Actually, procedure programming is about writing procedure. प्रोसीजर प्रोग्रामिंग में हम लोग प्रोसीजर कैसे लिखते हैं उसके बारे में समझते हैं. उस प्रोसीजर को we can also call as a function. प्रोसीजर या फंक्शन बेसिकली ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करते हैं डेटा पर, लेकिन on the other hand, object-oriented programming is about only concentrate to object. Here, basically, we are dealing both data as well as functions. We have object means we have both entity like data and function. Now we will learn what are the advantages over procedure programming of object-oriented. Object-oriented programming के कौन-कौन से important advantage हैं जो कि procedure programming से object-oriented को अलग मानते हैं. तो सबसे पहला advantage is that कि it is a faster and easier to execute. Why? Because object-oriented programming is very much clear in the data structure. तो इसे मैनेजमेंट करना ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के लिए बहुत ही सिंपल रहता है. It also provide clear structure of the program. No ambiguity. Now here object are that is code जो हम इसके प्रोग्रामिंग बनाते हैं वो कोड बहुत ही ईजियर होते हैं, जिसे हम मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, मॉडिफाई कर सकते हैं. उसे हम अगर कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो वी कैन आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड द डीबग, उसे हम डीबगिंग कर सकते हैं. Very important advantage in object-oriented programming that it possible to create full reusable application. हमें एप्लीकेशन फिर से लिखने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है जावा में. पूरा का पूरा हम प्रोग्राम को रीयूजेबल बना के उसे यूज कर सकते हैं. इसके फायदे क्या होंगे? पहला फायदा कि कोडिंग हमारी छोटी हो जाती है, हमें डेवलपमेंट टाइम फास्ट हो जाता है. जरूरी नहीं है कि हम हर चीज स्क्रैच से लिखें, ABCD से लिखें. Whatever we made, that will be the our for the next application. So this is about the object-oriented programming and as well as advantage over the procedure-oriented programming. Now we will understand what are the type of the other object-oriented languages. तो सबसे पहले Simula is a very popular language. Actually, this is first object-oriented programming language, and the programming paradigms where everything is represented as an object, ठीक है, and is known as a truly object-oriented programming language. Similarly, Smalltalk is another true object-oriented programming language. However, the other popular object-oriented languages are like Java, C Sharp, PHP, Python, C++. So these all are in the same domain, that is the object-oriented programming. Now we will understand the all characteristics of object-oriented programming one by one. So very first, we will understand the classes. The building block of Java is nothing but leads to object-oriented programming is a class. तो विदाउट क्लास हम कोई भी प्रोग्राम नहीं बना सकते हैं in Java. And this class is nothing but is a user-defined data type. ठीक है? We are defining class means it is a user-defined data type. Means as we will make a class, that class hold its own data member, its own data member function. It means that can be accessed and used by creating instance of that class. तो जो भी क्लास का हम इंस्टेंस बनाएंगे वो इंस्टेंस अपने डेटा को थ्रू मेंबर फंक्शन एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. इट मीन्स क्लास इज ए ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट. अगर हमें ऑब्जेक्ट समझना है तो क्लास हमें ब्रीफ होना चाहिए. इट मीन्स इट इज ए ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ दैट ऑब्जेक्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर मुझे कोई पर्सन की क्लास बनानी है तो उस पर्सन के क्लास में मुझे बहुत सारे कॉमन प्रॉपर्टीज बनाने पड़ेंगे. जैसे किसी भी पर्सन का नाम क्या है, किसी भी पर्सन की एज क्या है, किसी भी पर्सन का हाइट, जेंडर, एक आधार भी ले लेते हैं. आजकल आधार इज ए कंपल्सरी टू आइडेंटिफाई द पर्सन. It means here in this example, actually person is the class, or name, age, height, gender, Aadhaar, this all term as a properties of that class. It means these are the actually attribute of that class, act as a data member, and for that we have to create a member function. Clear? Now let we have this picture. In this picture we can easily understand that here we have three person. One, then two, and then three. So we have a three person. And this three person actually have same attribute. For example, name, age, height, gender, and Aadhaar. On this basis, we can easily differentiate this all kind of your what? Basically person. So this person basically known as our object of this class. तो we have this class. इसको क्या बोलेंगे आप? This is your class. तो in this person class, this all member can be identified through this attribute name. For example, Shri Narendra Modi ji, Amitabh Bachchan, Lata Mangeshkar can be have this common share attribute. Now we will see the objects. So in object, we can say the object is an identifiable entity and with some characteristics, with some behavior. And this object is an instance of the class. It is known as an instance. It is a runtime entity. Means whenever we will create a class, we can easily make a object of that class. And whenever this class, whenever you are for example, you are creating an object of any class, so whenever this object class will be the destroyed, the all object will be also destroyed. It means when class is defined, no memory is allocated. याद रखेंगे कि जब भी क्लास को हम डिफाइन करते हैं तो उसमें मेमोरी एलोकेट नहीं होती है, बट when it is instantiate, that is the object you are creating, it means you are allocating memory. When program is executed, जब भी हम प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे तो our object will interact by sending messages to where there another. तो एक ऑब्जेक्ट दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट से कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं थ्रू सेंडिंग ए मैसेज. Each object contain data as well as code. For what purpose? To manipulate the data. कोड क्यों रखेंगे? डेटा को मैनिपुलेट करने के लिए. Object can interact with without having to know detail of each other's data. ठीक है. Let the Amitabh Bachchan is there and he want to interact with the Lata Mangeshkar, so he can communicate without try to understand the code of the other person. So it is sufficient to know the type of message accepted or the type of response written by the object. ठीक है. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट्सएप में आई एम सेंडिंग ए वन शेयरिंग ए वन मैसेज एंड बाय दैट मैसेज एक मैंने मैसेज दिया कि दोज आर वेरी मच फैमिलियर विद जावा प्लीज से यस. तो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट ने इसमें यस कहा. इट मीन्स आई वांट टू only sufficient to understand how my message is accepted and how I am getting a response from that object. We are also object. We are the object of the person. Now we will see the one example. The same I am taking the example here. Now I am taking with name. So here we have a name of like that. This pic is nothing but Shri Narendra Modi ji and age 71, gender is male. Then second pic is of the Amitabh Bachchan, age 79 and gender male. Third pic represent Lata Mangeshkar ji and age 92 and gender is female. So likewise, you can make a such concept as a live. हम क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट में हर चीज को लाइव तरीके से ही रियल उसको अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे. Now we will understand the methods. Now here I have a three object. Say object A, object B, object C. So what we are doing? Object A want to communicate object B. So this data will say to function will send a message and this message will be understood by this data. So likewise, data are actually secured. Data are not freely to move in this object, but function can only operate the data inside of that object. So we can say our method data is represented as a property of object and behavior are represented as a method. So for example, let window is an object and that could have a method, say open window, close window. So it is the sense कि window is now closed, window is now open. It means we have a state of this window. So we can understand the property of that window. Like that, the every method belongs to that class. Now I will understand the encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but it is defined as a wrapping up of data and information under a single unit. So we have this unit, the name as a class, and this wrapping of data as well as information. So here we have a variable, this represent your data, and this method is operate to data and data information. तो in object oriented programming we can say कि encapsulation को कैसे define करेंगे? Encapsulation is defined as binding, है ना, इन दोनों को क्या कर रहे हैं? Binding together the data as well as the function. तो function जो उसके ऊपर manipulate होता है और जो data उसको bind करके रखेंगे. That's why known as a encapsulation. So here we are understanding the real example of encapsulation. तो देखिए ट्राई करिए समझने के लिए. I am giving a very real example. Consider कि we have a company. एक हमारे पास company है. Now in that company there are different department, say section. Account section, finance section, sales section, ऐसे बहुत सारे अलग से सेक्शन बने हुए हैं. तो let this finance section handles all the financial transaction. ठीक है, फाइनेंशियल सेक्शन का वर्क क्या रहेगा? वो सारे ट्रांजेक्शन फाइनेंशियल के हैंडल करेगा और साथ में हर रिकॉर्ड को मैनेज करेगा जिसमें कि डेटा रिलेट होता है. सिमिलरली सेल्स सेक्शन, तो सेल्स सेक्शन क्या करेगा? द सेल्स सेक्शन, एक सेकेंड, द सेल्स सेक्शन, and I can say the sales section, this section actually handle all the sales related activity and also keep records of all that sales. तो पूरे चीजों को वो सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट रखेगा. Now there is a situation arise. एक आपके पास चैलेंज आया कि when for some reason an official from the finance section needs all the data about the sale in a particular month. तो भाई ऑफिशियली ये बात आई कि फाइनेंस सेक्शन को सेल्स के सारे पर्टिकुलर डेटा चाहिए किसी एक मंथ के. तो इन दिस केस हम डेटा नहीं देंगे, हम क्या देंगे? डायरेक्टली एक्सेस टू द, हम डाटा का एक्सेस नहीं देंगे. हम क्या देंगे? इंस्टेड ऑफ दिस वी विल गिव द एक्चुअली, है ना, वी विल गिव द, we will first have to the contact to the other officer in that the sales section and then request to him to give the particular data. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि we cannot give directly the data. we have to first request to the our sales officer. Then sales officer will manage to give the data to the finance department. So like that concept is known as a your real example of encapsulation. Now we will understand the abstraction. Okay. So what is the abstraction in object oriented? It is the one most essential feature, that important features, and it is a most essential and important feature of our object oriented programming language. Okay. So this abstraction means you are displaying only essential information. Okay. Abstract means you are displaying only essential information rather than the actual data. So here we are hiding that all other details of that object. It means data abstraction refer to providing only essential information about the data to the outside the world, hiding the background detail or implementation detail. तो let consider a real life example. अब मैं दिखाता हूं आपको, देखिए फॉर एग्जाम्पल वन मैन इज ड्राइविंग ए कार. ठीक है, हम कार चला रहे हैं. नाउ द मैन ओनली ट्राई टू नोज द प्रेसिंग द एक्सलेटर. क्यों? क्योंकि उसे अपनी स्पीड, कार की स्पीड को बढ़ाना है, इंक्रीज करना है. इसके अलावा उसे ब्रेक लगा के कार को स्टॉप करना है. ठीक है, उसे इसका दो ही चीजों से मतलब है कि कार कैसे स्पीड चलेगी, कार कैसे रुक सकती है. तो इसके अलावा उसे इसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी कि हाउ on pressing accelerator the speed is actually increasing, or he does not know about the inner machinery mechanism of this car or implementation of accelerator, brakes, etc. in the car. He only want to understand or try to know how to increase speed of car and how I can use the brake to stop the car. So this is two feature we required. Other features we have to stop. So likewise, we can do the abstraction model of that concept. Now come to the word type of abstraction. So we can use in level of abstraction. For example, we can use abstraction in header files. For example, in the C, we are using this concept in the power function. So in this power function, we are only trying to get a power of value instead of the definition of this power function. Similarly, also we have abstraction in the classes. We can also implement this abstraction in the C++ or in the Java classes. This classes basically helps us to group data member and member function using available access specifier. So a class can be decide which data member will visible and outside the world and which is not. So we have a actually access property of the data and the member of the your class. So what are that access power? अब access power क्या होगा उसको देख लेते हैं. Now we have a access power like we have a public in a class, we have a private in a class. So such concept actually make a access specifier that we are doing in the abstraction thought. So this is the abstraction. Now come to the polymorphism. So polymorphism, basically the word polymorphism means having more form, that is known as a polyform or polymorphism. In the simple word, we can define polymorphism as the ability of message to be displayed in more than one form. Okay. So how we can sense of this more than one form? For example, a person at the same time can have different characteristics. ठीक है, जैसे मैं आपके सामने एज ए टीचर बात कर रहा हूँ. इन माई फैमिली आई एम treat as a father, husband. In my company, I am treat as an employee. So I have a many form. I am not different. I am same. Only I am different characteristics. So the same person possess different behavior in different situation. And this is called as a word polymorphism. Basically, an operation may exhibit different behavior in different instances. So this behavior depends upon the type of data used in the operation. So this is about our polymorphism. Now come to the word types of the polymorphism. So we have two important type of polymorphism. One is the operator overloading and second is the function overloading. So in object-oriented programming like C++, operator overloading is there, function overloading is there, but in Java only function overloading is there. Now, what is meant by operator overloading? Operator overloading means it is a process of making the operator to exhibit different behavior in a different instant is known as a operator overloading. Similarly, in the function overloading, a single function name to perform different type of task. So that is known as a function overloading. For example, let I have a shape function. So in this shape function, I can draw triangle, I can draw rectangle, I can also draw circle. It means by the only one name of the draw function, we can think about the different form of this draw. One is triangular draw, the second is the rectangle draw, and third is the circle draw. Now you have to understand the inheritance. So inheritance basically it is the capability of class to derive property. We have to derive the property from one class to another class, and this characteristics from another class is called as a inheritance. So we have a multiple class in the derived fashion. So inheritance is one of the most important features where in the object-oriented programming. So in this inheritance, we have a subclass. We also have superclass. So in this way, we are basically doing the reusability property of the object-oriented program. So here subclass means the class that inherits the property from another class that is known as a subclass and the derived class. And the superclass is what? This is our base class whose property actually are inherited by the subclass. That's why this is known as a base class and superclass. So base class property we are easily using in the subclass. It means here there is a reusability characteristics there. So it support the reusability. When we want to create a new class, जब भी आपको नया class बनाना है, it means there is already a class. Only you have to include some of the code that we want to add, and we can easily derive our new class from the existing class. So by doing this, we can say we are reusing the fields, we are reusing the methods of the existing class. Now lastly, we have this example in which we are using the inheritance concept. So here we have the base class that is known as a animal class. So animal class is a basically your base class. It is a basically your animal is a base class. In this base class, we have a three derived class. One is the dog class, second is the cat class, and third is the cow class. These all are from the animal class. So that's why as we are deriving, we are reusing this animal class. And in dog class, the animal features plus special features of the dog is there. Similarly, in the cat, the original animal class is there, additional cat feature is there. Similarly, in the cow, the original animal class and the add new cow feature is there. So in this way, we can say we are reusing this animal class. Clear? तो today हमने बहुत अच्छी चीजें समझी हैं. आप एक एक करके सबका रियल प्रॉब्लम के साथ हर एक को ऐड करिए. And in the coming lecture, we will learn how to make implementation of object-oriented characteristics. Clear? Thank you to all.